Throughout February, we've been sharing inspiring stories of Black Coloradans and their contributions to our state. And this week, we're revealing a darker side of our Colorado history. Denver 7's Micah Smith is telling the story of sundown towns where Coloradans of color were prevented from living.
The beauty of a sunset is captivating, but for decades in our country, the sun setting was an ominous reminder that Black people were entering the most dangerous time of day.
We don't necessarily have a complete record of all the sundown towns in Colorado. There are a few that posted banners or posted signs to make sure that people knew.
A sundown town was an all-white city that banned Black people from living within city limits or being in town after dark. Black American West Museum volunteer Terry Gentry says they were especially prevalent during the late 1800s and throughout the 1900s.
There were a lot of risks. You could either be harmed, you could be forced out of town, you could be killed. Just quite a few scary things happened.
But sundown towns were not a southern invention. Most can be found across the north, the Midwest, and the West, with many right here in Colorado.
Louisville and Golden, parts of Colorado Springs,
Cherry Hills, and Loveland. A Loveland Reporter Herald article reveals in the early 1900s, Loveland neighborhoods and HOAs prevented anyone of color from buying a house there. At that time, Loveland had a large sign that read, "Welcome to Loveland, nationally famous sweetheart town." And a smaller sign underneath read, "We observe Jim Crow laws here."
We have a situation here where our culture, as expressed in Hollywood and to some extent in other media, puts this racism in the South where it isn't. This is the one form of severe racism that the traditional South did not do, but it's all across the North.
Sociologist and author of Sundown Towns, James Lowen, has studied sundown towns across the United States and uncovered thousands.
In suburbs, there are a lot of suburbs that were sundown towns. In fact, most suburbs, about 70–80% of the suburbs of Los Angeles, the suburbs of Chicago, suburbs of Detroit.
And Lowen says that's why we still have Colorado cities that have virtually no residents of color.
But I have to say that most towns, and I suspect almost all former sundown towns in Colorado, have given up the practice.
But Lowen said we still feel the implications today.
What we have to watch for now is what we call second-generation sundown town issues. And that's, for example, an overwhelmingly white police force, overwhelmingly white teaching staff that doesn't have much of an interracial curriculum to teach either.
Lowen says there's hope for sundown towns, but communities must step into the light and acknowledge their dark histories. Micah Smith, Denver 7.